What if I told you that the greatest digital collapse of the last decade was not caused by a sophisticated hacker attack, not a solar flare, nor a critical hardware failure? What if the reason millions of people worldwide were shut out of their work tools and financial reports, and in some cases, even the ability to turn on the lights in their own homes, was a single trivial typo? This is the story of February 28th, 2017. The day an Amazon Web Services engineer in Northern Virginia typed a command into a console hoping to fix a minor issue. Instead, he committed an act of global digital self-destruction. Today, on The Failed Futures, we plunge into the darkness of the Internet's most critical infrastructure. We will uncover how hubris, technical debt, and a fateful typo proved one thing. In a world dependent on the cloud, one person can break everything. Prepare yourself. We begin now. To grasp the scale of the catastrophe, we must understand AWS, Amazon Web Services. In the early 2000s, Amazon was simply the largest online retailer. But their engineers developed a brilliant idea. The infrastructure they built to handle their sales was so robust they could sell it to others. Thus, the cloud was born. And its central component was S3, Simple Storage Service, the Internet's infinite digital attic. S3 is not just storage, it is the foundation upon which modern architecture is built. By 2017, AWS was not just a major player, it became the life support system for a third of the entire Internet. Netflix stores its films there, Slack, your chats, Airbnb, apartment photos, NASA, scientific data. Even U.S. governmental structures relied on it. This is the first dark lesson of progress: centralization. We willingly handed the keys to our digital kingdom to one corporation. The reasons were simple. It was cheap, incredibly scalable, and we were assured it was indestructible. Amazon created a false sense of security. They promised 11 nines of durability, 99.9 repeating percent, a pact of trust between progress and its users. But as we have consistently seen on this channel, the higher innovation soars, the more painful the fall. And on February 28, 2017, that pact was broken. At 9:37 a.m. Pacific Time, Amazon Web Services in the U.S. EAST1 region, Northern Virginia, began to malfunction. Remember that region, U.S. East 1? It was the first, and because of that, the most complex, the oldest, and the most dependent. It is the heart of AWS, and it began to fail. First, there were minor delays, then elevated error rates in the S3 service. For most people, this just meant slow loading. But for companies, it meant catastrophe. Slack couldn't send messages, Trello couldn't load boards, Medium couldn't display articles. Even Down Detector, the site meant to track the outage, was down itself because it relied on AWS. The worst impact was on critical infrastructure. Hospitals couldn't access medical images. Many smart homes ceased functioning because their controllers couldn't communicate with the cloud. Amazon couldn't even update its status dashboard for an hour. Why? Because even their own dashboard was hosted on the same S3 in the same region. This was digital paralysis. The company that promised reliability couldn't even report that it had broken. This is the quintessence of progress's failure. Everyone expected a hack or a fire. But the truth, as always, turned out to be far more humiliating. After the failure was resolved, Amazon released a root cause analysis. It has become a classic tale of failed innovation. An engineer noticed that One of S3's billing subsystems, the indexing subsystem, was slow. The engineer used a standard tool designed to remove a small number of old servers. He typed the command, but he made a typo. Instead of removing a few servers, he accidentally entered a parameter that caused the system to remove significantly more servers than intended. Crucially, the removed servers supported two other critical S3 subsystems. When key servers were removed, the entire S3 indexing system, which hadn't been rebooted for years, suddenly began an emergency restart. It was like a heart attack. The system failed to recover and immediately went into catastrophic failure mode. Everything dependent on S3 in Northern Virginia collapsed. The second dark lesson: hubris and technical debt. Why did the system allow an engineer to remove so many critical servers with a single, simple command? This is the ethical negligence of design. Why was the aging system so fragile that it couldn't quickly recover? This is technical debt accumulated over years. And why did US East 1 remain the single most vulnerable point in global infrastructure? Economics trumped reliability. The outage cost S&P 500 companies $150 million in losses during those 4 hours of chaos. But the financial loss is only the tip of the iceberg. We lost faith in the infallibility of the cloud. This incident proved that when Amazon falls, the world suffers. The price of innovation is not just the money you pay, it is the vulnerability you accept. We are trapped by our own convenience. Rejecting centralization today means rejecting progress itself. This is a reminder that the greatest threat to any monumental system often lies not in a complex hack, but in a banal, low-level error. If we fail to learn the lessons of that fateful typo, we are doomed to face a far more extensive digital collapse. This was the Failed Futures. Thank you for joining us on the dark side of progress.